We've got some big changes coming to League ahead of Split 2. New champion Nafiri is finally making her debut in Summoner's Rift, and the new game mode Arena is coming on July 20th. Before we dive into the patch preview, remember that subscriptions and likes help us make videos. Alright, so let's get to it. First up is Volibear. The Bears received buffs this patch to his AP ratio on his passive and to his W's proportional damage to lost health. The champ with possibly the most terrifying lifesteal in League, Aatrox, is getting buffed. His Q skill's AD ratio and damage on minions have increased, which should noticeably speed up his lane clear. Jax's E cooldown has been increased by 1 second, and the mana cost of his ultimate has been increased by 50.
Tonight we hunt.
Rengar's hunt will have to be put on hold. The critical damage on his Q has been reduced. Next up is Lissandra. Her passive, Ice Slave, has gotten a bit smarter. Her Q now slows all enemies in range, and the amount of healing from her ults has been increased significantly, making her an even bigger presence in teamfights. AD Shaco is getting a buff. His Q's AD ratio has been increased by 10%, so he's now probably worth the ban, not just for how irritating he is. Diana has gotten buffs to her shield and damage on her W, and her E skill has also gotten a buff of 10% on its AP ratio. Any of y'all remember Season 3 and 4? Shyvana's prime time might just come back on this patch. Her Q skill has gotten a huge buff on its AD ratio and attack speed, and her E skill will also get a buff of extra AD ratio. Hecarim's W skill's resistance bonus has been reduced by 5, which doesn't seem like a huge nerf, but we'll see. Karthus is getting a slight decrease to his Q damage, yet an increase to his damage on monsters. His mana recovery on his E is also being reduced by 5. In exchange for increased base health and armor, Kindred's getting a nerf on cooldown and damage on her Q skill. Rek'sai is getting an adjustment to her E damage. What this will do is that her E damage will be significantly reduced early game, but will get stronger in late game. Will we ever see a Zyra mid again? They've adjusted the damage of plants on monsters, and she'll finally be able to use her E flash combo. Also, Zyra used to have to walk into range to cast her ult, but now she can cast it at max range. This one is probably one of the most popular sub-champs these last few months. Milio's passive damage and movement speed on her E skill will be nerfed. The OP sub-champ as of this moment, Rell is getting a nerf on her base armor and enemy resistance absorption, reduced from a maximum of 15% to 10%. So it looks like Xerath is now more likely going to be seen in the mid lane, and his passive will be activated with towers as well. The number of casts on his ult has been increased, and every hit on an enemy will increase the damage of his subsequent shots. Okay, next up is the item patch. Static Shiv finally got nerfed on minion damage. Gale Force's cooldown increased by 30 seconds. Randuin's crit damage reduction increased. Steric's price and health increased. Spirit Visage now has more MR. Lethality on Prowler's Claw increased. Decrease on Shojin's price but an increase on its health. Triforce's AD increase has been adjusted. As for Infinity Edge, crit damage increased but AD decreased. Axion Arc's ultimate cooldown refund has been adjusted so that it's proportionate to lethality. There's one big change on Summoner Spell. The duration on Ghost has increased, but enemy takedowns no longer extend duration. Finally, Nafiri is scheduled for a full release in this patch, and Arena mode will launch on July 20th. For more information, check out the video in the upper right corner, and don't forget to check out Arena mode with our channel. That's all for today's patch, and we'll see you next time.